As I read more into Mark Twain's biography, as expected, I learn more beyond what his life was like. So, they made a good point, the author made a good point about how America lives for the future and not so much in the past. Okay, we're at a point in Mark Twain's life where he went on his first venture. He went on quite a few ventures around the world. In fact, he never really had a permanent place to live. But he did some serious traveling, and it wasn't until Rome where the author brought up this point with all these relics and paintings and old artist leftovers that were magnificent at the time. Those are old relics that European nations like to reflect back on and hold dear to their country. Well, America isn't about that. America is about progression into the future, about innovation with technology, and bringing up new ideas and stuff like that. Since America isn't that old, as old as Europe, uh, we're in a better position to be more progressive. And we're talking about thoughts that were swirling through Mark Twain's head in the mid 1860s to late 1860s. And there was a lot of innovation that really excited people back then. That was keeping them going and working hard and stuff, and it's still going on today with innovation. And they took some pretty interesting pictures too. Like you'd think like the cameras wouldn't be that advanced, but they took some nice pictures of scenes that they were in and stuff back as far as the 1860s. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. We don't have a lot of like old arts. They're not as much as the European countries. America does have some, but it's definitely doesn't go back as far as the Roman times and all the Colosseums and just the old buildings that have stood for hundreds of years. The oldest that we have are like wooden structures that go back, maybe, yeah, and the East Coast a little older than the West Coast. It seems like the oldest I've seen on the West Coast is maybe 1850s or so. Not many buildings in the early 1800s survived. The gravestones survived, but not so much the buildings because they tended to be made of wood. They could recreate the buildings, so you question, what's real authentic or whatnot. But yeah, either way, America is in constant change, and it's the country. That's how each country is. Each country has its own theme on like a macro level, and America's theme has generally been just growing, just innovating on things. Although it's interesting because Germany is a pretty big innovator. Japan is an innovator too, in a lot of ways. So it's hard to really say, that all European countries sit back and reflect on how their cultures used to live and relish in it and try to keep with that theme of the old style. I've noticed a lot of cities on the West Coast try to stick with an old theme of the Wild West. There's been a few. They'll put it in their city planning that any new businesses that go up have to follow a certain building code to look like the other buildings, like they're setting a theme, and it tends to be like a Wild West or the 1800s type of theme. Um, is that is that really what people want? Do we want to still maintain like an old style look in America? It's hard to say. I mean, a lot of cities haven't done that, and people have complained about it. It can go back and forth, I guess.